On our three pack. So a couple of the common questions that we get is, Mike, how's the market? And my response is always, well, the market's awesome. Really? I go, yeah, it just depends on who you are. Or we get, is this a good time to buy or sell? And so I wanted to kind of walk through how to respond to these questions when people ask you if this is a good time to buy or sell. So number one, the answer is always yes. It's always yes. Your answer should always be yes. You don't know why somebody is asking that question. You don't necessarily know what their motives are. And really, in essence, it could be the best possible market for their unique needs. So before you go answer anything else, find out what their motives are. Always say yes.
Yeah, well, that'll keep the ball rolling anyway, and it doesn't immediately turn them off. The only thing you have to be careful of with yes is don't make yes come across as though you're trying to sell them on yes. Have yes just be, I like
last time I looked at my real estate license, it said salesperson.
Well, but here's the thing. The fact is we all see sales presentations coming a million miles away, especially if you're a salesperson. So, but it's just one of those things. Be sincere, I guess, is my point. And that's the reason why I talked to you about the AI thing in today's thing, because AI, when you read that, you're going to see that Arizona is in a super place, and it breaks down every single number that I had on that spreadsheet.
Well, saying no is assuming, like you said, Mike, their situation is what's consistent with the national averages happening right now. And as Todd pointed out, Arizona is different than national averages. So when someone's having a conversation with you about buying or selling, you need to ask questions. You need to be interested and curious, not judgmental and making an assumption. And so answering that as a hard yes or no, in my opinion, is never a good idea. Yes keeps the conversation going. It's the old improv trick. If you're having a conversation with someone, if you say yes, you keep the conversation going. Right. As soon as you say no, it's awkward, uncomfortable, and then we have to move on.
Yeah, okay, but in fairness,
you're always going to say yes.
If you ask me that question, I say yes. My next action is not sticking a listing agreement in front of you or a buyer broker agreement in front of you. I'm just trying to create some dialogue
I'm
here.
going to go back to I'm going to go back to a 3-pack from probably, I don't know, a year ago almost. But Mike, you said that we were talking about the questions to ask when you sit down with your seller or your buyer, and I think that's really, you used one, and here's what you said. In paraphrase, and hopefully it's in context. You said that when somebody asks you this question, you turned it around and said, well, what are your concerns?
Yeah.
And then from that particular point, they said interest rates. And so then you said, in that little volley we had, you said, well, what do you at what rate would you do business today? And then you worked into it that way, but you got them to tell you what that real deep problem was, not the superficial one like yes.
Well, yeah. And I think my point was if rates are holding you back and you go, I'm not going to enter the game until I can get a 5.75, well, I'll say, well, let's get the seller to buy down the rate. So let's see what's out there. So so you lose if your answer is anything but yes. If your answer, if you answer just no right off the bat or not really, the lead is dead on arrival. The conversation is dead on arrival. You will turn them off right away before you even know anything. You won't ever know anything about them until you dig deeper. And this is the point. At the end of the day, for some people, it may be a terrible time to buy, or it might be a terrible time to sell for them. But just answering no before you know their unique situation, you now have just lost that ability to help somebody in their next real estate transaction.
Totally. I mean, it's almost like if you said no, you need to find another career, but because I don't want to be,
If I walk into a car lot, hey, you guys got good deals on cars? Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. So, but again, I think the conversation, not what's on the board, but what we're talking about is the most important part, because it's that series of questions. It's that series of further interactions. And I will just tell you this, Sales Training 101 says, no matter that, whenever somebody asks you a question, you have to go back and ask a deeper question 3 times. It's something to do with the magic of 3. But if you do that, they'll tell you on that third one what their real deep issue typically is. The first ones are either they've heard a narrative and they're using it, or they've been told no in the past and they don't realize that today they do qualify, or it's that, they just are ready to do business, but they need somebody who's equally as willing to help them through that process.
Well, that's good to know, Nick, because I've only asked you about your childhood twice, so now this will be the third time, and maybe we can get to the root of the issues.
I was not born I was not born at the North Pole.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah. So, I mean, as you get more confident in the real estate market, as you get more confident in your business, you're going to be able to answer these questions with the response back. You're answering a question with a question, honestly. Correct. A lot of these individuals that are having conversations have probably had a conversation with someone else who told them this is a terrible market. It's not a good time to buy. You're putting yourself in jeopardy. Rates are too high. They don't necessarily understand your situation. So you are, in a book that I'm listening to now, in a segment we're going to do here in a couple weeks, is subordinating your ego. You're putting your ego aside and you're asking the questions of the person that's in front of you, trying to better understand their situation, so you can actually answer this question correctly. But again, as we already said, saying no just cuts off the conversation immediately.
All right, don't let your personal feelings sway someone. Yep. Your opinion or your perception of the market does not really matter. No one really cares whether you would buy or sell in this market. And so if you have that vibe that this is not a good time, then they will feel that vibe. And again, the ultimate goal from this question is a deeper real estate conversation. That's what this is an opportunity for. I want to have a deeper real estate conversation with you. If I tell you the market's terrible, I'm not going to have a deeper real estate conversation. Is this a good time to sell? Maybe, maybe not. Really depends on who you are. But you know what? If you're relocating and you got to sell your house in 30 days, you know what? This is a great market to sell, right? If you don't have to sell, it may not.
Right.
And so this is your opportunity for a deeper real estate conversation. So we have a saying on our team, and we preach it to our team all the time, because your personal feelings about the market really don't matter. Totally. Money never disappears. It just moves. Opportunities are always there. And you have to have that deeper conversation to determine what opportunity is going to best fit that specific person that you're talking with.
In the old days, we used to call it timing. And the whole situation was, again, to some, if somebody can afford to go to wherever they're being relocated to, not sell the house here, maybe the best thing for them to do is rent it out, or at least initially, who knows? But a lot of times, or most of the time, they'll see it written all over your face. If you don't think it's a good market, you're not going to be responding with the same charisma and the same approach that you would be if you truly felt. And so, again, all I'm saying is I love the question, what are you trying to accomplish and what time frame are you trying to accomplish it in? And then let's have a conversation.
Yeah, Nick, and at the end of the day, I've sat with sellers, and after we've gone through this, and I'll tell them it's not really a good time for you to sell. Yeah. But I don't want to just say no without having that conversation.
Well, and you do become the trusted resource if you are the one that tells them that maybe now is not the best time to do X, Y, and Z. But again, having the conversation.
All righty. Well, enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's get that.